Hey everybody, it's Barbie Jane, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video where I'm going to be able to help you manage your time better and be more productive. So let's dive in. Let's talk about time management and productivity. First off, in this video, we're going to be able to learn a couple of things because our objectives include utilizing the tools and methods for planning and organizing your workday. We're going to also find ways to prioritize your tasks more effectively and focus on what truly matters. And then we're going to minimize procrastination. And you're going to realize that that's such an easy thing to do. We just actually got to do it. And next, we're going to find ways to enhance our decision-making skills so that we can streamline work processes and flows so we're not always stuck in a rut or in analysis paralysis. So, why is this topic so important? Because there's so many things that's going on in today's world, right? We're always bombarded with activities to the left, activities to the right. We've got kids, we've got family, we've got work stuff, we got house stuff, and we have everything in the world to do, but yet no time. The reality is we all have the same amount of time in the day. It's just a matter of how we best use it. So the reason why this video is so important for you is because, one, it's going to help you find and make informed decisions and capitalize on opportunities. Two, it'll increase your overall output. You'll be able to do more and actually complete tasks that you have. Three, it'll foster a productive work culture. Now, let's think about it. Every time you're at work and you see someone who's just not putting in their portion of the work, you get frustrated seeing that, right? I know, I get frustrated too. And so if we all manage our time and we're actually able to do all the tasks that we have listed and complete our jobs, guess what? Everyone else around us will be able to see it. And if they see it, they'll be happier with us. And if they're happy with us, guess what happens? We're happy too. A better workplace and a better workplace culture. Four, you can reduce your stress and avoid burnout. Oh my gosh, has this happened to me? Yes, and that is why a lot of the things that I'll be talking to you about in terms of time management and productivity is so important because I found it to work for myself and I want to reduce all that stress and reduce all that burnout and just be happy being able to manage things. 5, you want to achieve a higher level of job satisfaction. I mean, who wouldn't want to be happy? Why are you so stressed, right? And we're stressed just because we're always bombarded with everything. And so if we start to manage that, we'll be a little bit happier, a little bit calmer. We can think in peace and be sane, right? And lastly, if you are looking to grow, be better professionally, you are wanting to be in this video or wanting to watch this video because it will help you with career advancement. Hey, you can show your bosses that you can actually do all these tasks that you have on hand. You can actually do the job because you manage your time, because you're productive. And when other people see that, that puts you in a better light so that you can actually progress and advance in your current career. Now, how are we gonna manage our time? Well, there's so many ways, and you probably already know this, but you need this video to help validate that for you. So, whenever you plan your workday and organize, you literally just plan and organize, taking the time to sit down, write it all out and figure it out, map it out for yourself or whatnot. Now, there's so many ways that you can do it, but I'm going to talk about 3 different ways. The first one is a daily plan. So, how many of you use planners like I do? Right? So I have years of these types of planners. I know, so high school, right? But I love it. The reason why is because I'm the type of person where I literally need to write down what I'm going to be doing in a day, right? So that I can check them off. Oh, sorry, this one's empty. That's the holidays. But let's just say the days, right? I want to be able to write down all the tasks that I have. What I love about this is that we create a checklist for ourselves for that day. The best part of this is that every time you complete a certain task, simply mark it off, right? Scratch it off. And that scratching off or that check mark that you do ends up creating a win in your head, and it makes you extra motivated and feel like, oh my gosh, I could do this and I am doing this. The next one is a weekly plan. So the reason why I love this planner is because, yes, it makes me go down to the days for things that I have to do, but more importantly, it also lays out and gives me a weekly schedule. Now, yep, so notice how I have gaps, right? But I try to make out and lay out my calendars for the week so that if I have certain tasks and I have certain activities that I got to do within that week, I can spread them out and I can see where I have the gaps of availability. And so whenever I have that gap of availability and some other task comes along or some other job that I got to do comes along, I can take a look at the whole week and plan it out better so I'm not bombarded in just one day. I realize that you don't have to do everything right then and there and get it done now, right? A lot of times you have more days in the week that you can actually accomplish things. We just put the pressure on ourselves and feel like we are superwoman or superhuman, better yet, and can complete it. But you don't always have to do that. Spread it out so you can breathe a little bit. Now, the third type of plan that I have is a monthly plan. Let me get something for you. Hold on. What's a monthly plan? Literally a calendar. Just create a calendar for yourself. Now, what I like about calendars is that I can start to plug in everything that we got to do. And then just like the weekly calendar, weekly plans, you can start to see where you have those gaps available at. And so when you have the gaps and you have certain tasks that come along, plug it in. Remember, you have 28 days, 30 days, sometimes 31 days in the month. And so you really don't have to bombard and cram everything into one day or 1 week. Use the rest of the 30 days that you have in that month and spread it out. The purpose of this is, one, you manage your time better. Two, when you're not bombarded with everything, you can think more clearly. You can think more sanely and make better decisions. And three, when you are managing those tasks and those days that you have, those times that you have, you can be more productive, right? And so whenever we think about plans, think about the three different types that you can consider. One, a daily plan. Two, a weekly plan. And three, a monthly plan. Now, if you're extra and, well, better yet, it's not even being extra, but if you want to go and make sure that you are absolutely managing your time and wanting to be productive, knock yourself out and do all three. I personally do that. And I found that that's really, really helped me just have better days and get more things done. Because a lot of times when I don't do any of these planning at all, oh my God, I am so unproductive. I miss a lot of things. I drop the ball in certain things. And so if you want to get out of that dropping the ball phase and stuck in a rut phase, just start planning. Literally, sit your butt down on a chair and start writing it all out. Now, I want to get into the topic of prioritization. When we think about priorities, right, and this is going to make sense in a time management and productivity standpoint, but whenever we think about prioritizing certain tasks, I want you to ask yourself, well, what matters most? What is so important to you? And why does all of these things even matter for you? So again, what matters most? Let me give you an example. For me, what matters most is my time with my family. Being able to pick up the kids, take them to their activities, being home for dinner, being home in general, right? To spend quality time with them. That's what's important to me. Now, we'll talk more about that and we'll touch on it. But before I do so, I want to introduce to you this matrix. It's a time management matrix. And if you want to define the actual term, it's called the Eisenhower matrix. Now, what I love about the Eisenhower matrix is that it makes us realize what's important, what's not so important, what needs to get done right now, and what could really be held off for another day or absolutely taken away and whatnot. So if you take a look at this diagram, you see that there are 4 quadrants. And in every quadrant, there is a box or a word that intersects with each other. So the 4 phrases that we have is things that are urgent, not urgent, what's important, and what's not important. Now in every quadrant, 2 words are going to connect with each other or intersect. So the first quadrant, we're going to see an intersection of the word urgent and not urgent. Urgent and important. So when we think about urgent and important, in that intersection and in that quadrant, these are the tasks that we have to get done. So as you can see on the screen, it shows, do it, get this done. Like you have to get it done, right? The next quadrant that you're going to see in the intersection is going to be not urgent, but important. So when you see these 2 intersecting in that quadrant, these are the tasks that you could say, you know what, it's important, but it's not due today, right? So you could schedule it for another day. Remember, you have 7 days in a week, 30 days in a month. You don't have to do it today. It's not an absolute deadline. So spread it out in your gaps of availability and schedule it away. Next, in the bottom quadrants, you're going to see on the left side, it intersects the 2 words of urgent and not important. Now, it's urgent, it has to get done, but it's really not that important. Just complete it and go, right? Now, in these tasks, or for these tasks, these are the ones that you can delegate or you can ask someone for help. Now, when we talk about this, I want to warn you. I know a lot of times it's so hard for us to delegate work only because we want it done a certain specific type of way. And let me give you an example. Laundry, right? I mean, how many of you hate folding laundry? I hate it too. But sometimes we put that task on ourselves and we don't want to delegate it to someone else because we feel like they're just not going to do it the way I want it. But sometimes we got to let go of that perfection because if we keep leaving the task to ourselves, we will never get it done, right? Let's just be real. Or it's going to sit there even longer. But if we delegate it to someone else, yes, it might not be the best way we want it to be, but I bet you it'll get done. Unless they're like my kids and they don't get it done. But it better get done. So what I'm trying to get to is that it's okay to delegate and it's okay to accept the fact, or we have to start to accept the fact that not everything will be done in the specific way that we want it to, but it's okay. At least it'll get done. Now, let's move to the last quadrant. The last quadrant is in the bottom right side. The 2 words that intersect are not urgent and not important. Now, guess what? With the tasks on that list, all you got to do, delete it, eliminate it. And as you see in that quadrant, it says, it's okay, right? Sometimes you don't have to do everything in the task list. Sometimes it's for other people, or sometimes it really doesn't even matter. The biggest thing here is a lot of times we try to put these tasks on ourselves when we really don't need to. And it's because we want to be busy or we want to make sure that we're doing something. But I want you to remember this phrase or these 2 different words. There's a difference between busy and productive. Now, whenever you think about the tasks that fall on that quadrant, are we just trying to be busy or is it really making us productive? Because if your answer is, well, hey, I'm being productive doing this, well, maybe that doesn't belong in the not urgent or not important section. Maybe that belongs somewhere else. But if it truly is not urgent and not important, you're just pretending to be busy. And that's okay. That's why we're watching this video now, so you can understand that, hey, it's okay. You can eliminate it. Just let it go. It's fine. Now, let's get into planning techniques. When we think about planning, there's so many ways again, right? Time management and productivity, so many options that we can tap into. But for this video, I'm talking about 2 different ways. The first one is time blocking. Now in time blocking, you're identifying your tasks, prioritizing the task, and then you're setting time estimates and time blocks to get the job done. And then you do it and you adjust as you move along. Now, what I like about this is when you do a time block, the intention is to really create those times where you can focus on that task. Take away all the distractions and the roadblocks that you might have, but really focus on those times. Now, the reason why on the very end you always want to review and adjust is because you will find that maybe it might take you a longer time to complete a task. And if it does, make sure you note that down and you adjust your time. But if you have to do those tasks again, now you know the true time that it will take you to complete it. Or the other way is, if you have a task and you really know it's only going to be 5 minutes, but you end up taking 30 minutes to it, that's a red flag for you to realize, oh my God, what was I doing? Was I just fooling around, lollygagging around, taking my time? That's your trigger to work faster or to work more effectively and efficiently. The second planning technique that I like is called task batching. Now, similar to time blocking, you're identifying your tasks, you're prioritizing the task, but instead of creating the time blocks for it, you're more so taking the different tasks and batching them together. That way, you're not going back and forth, back and forth. The example I like to give here is if you're in a workplace or in a corporate setting and you have your computer on one side of the office and you have your Xerox machine on the other side of the office, you're not going to do some computer work right now and then go get a printout. Do a little bit of computering and then make a copy. Then do another computering, going to the Xerox machine and making a fax. You're just going back and forth, right? That's not really effective unless you're trying to count in your steps and make sure that you get your 10,000 a day. But if you want to work more effectively, you want to be able to batch all those tasks together. So instead of going back and forth from your computer to your Xerox machine, maybe you might say, hey, you know what? I'm on the computer. I got to make a copy, but I also got to print something, but I also got to fax something over. Well, take all those documents, send your print out, right? While you're on your computer desk, walk over to the printer, and then you can get your print, make the copy, send that fax all at one time. That way you're more effective and you're more efficient. So whether it be time blocking, task batching, both of them are very good practices that you can implement into your day. Now, other techniques that I want to talk about when it comes to being productive is two types of techniques. The first one is a 2-minute rule. Now, in this rule, amongst all of your tasks, you try to identify different tasks that's going to take you only 2 minutes to do, 2 minutes or less, and just knock it out. What I love about this is that, one, you get all those little minute tasks that adds up to something more. You get it already done. Now, the best part that I like about this is that, again, I get to scratch it out or I get to check it off my list. And again, those scratching out or checking off creates a win in my mind that just gets me to feeling more productive and feeling like, oh my God, I'm knocking things out. I could do this, right? That positive reinforcement. The next one is the Pomodoro Technique. So Pomodoro Technique is a time technique where you get focused time onto a certain task. So in this, you're going to get a timer. You're going to set it for 25 minutes. And in that 25 minutes, you're going to turn everything off, block everything away. That is your focus time. Now, after that 25 minutes, your alarm goes off. Hey, take a 5-minute break, right? Then you do that again. 25-minute focus time, 5-minute break. 25-minute focus time, 5-minute break. And after 3 or 4 sessions of that, take a longer break. Take a 30-minute break if you want. You deserve that win, so take it. But one of the things that you have to really, really remember when you do this is that your focus time is absolute focus time. So how do we stay focused? Here's some tips. Minimize your distractions. I always have this saying, in the corporate setting or better yet in anywhere, we always have emails and messages, WhatsApp, SMS that's constantly bombarding us. These are distractions. And so if you want to have those focus time, especially in your Pomodoro technique, what do you have to do? Turn it off. Just turn it off, right? I know a lot of times we get anxious and anxiety because we're like, oh my God, I got to keep my system on. I got to keep my email on because I might get in trouble. But you got to realize people accept that a response is not going to, accept that an email response is not going to come in 30 seconds or less. I think 25 minutes of a response is fair enough amongst everything else that you got to do. I mean, in this day and age, as busy as we are, I think a lot of people already understand too that we are busy. We have things to do. So we cannot respond immediately. The next thing to realize is that if you want your emails to stop, the only way to do it is to turn it off. But don't worry. After your 25 minutes of focus time, you'll get back into it. You can respond then. And I promise you, nothing's going to crash and burn in that 25 minutes of focus time where you have your system off. And if something is going down, guess what's going to happen? They will find a way to find you, no matter which way, whether it's email, phone call, or they're literally going to walk to you. So you know that in that 25-minute focus time, things will be okay, right? The next tip to stay focused is making yourself accountable. Now, when I talk about accountability, let's think back to the question that I had asked earlier. What is important to you, or what matters most to you? The reason why that's such an important question to ask is because when you want to be accountable and you want to stick to your time gaps and you say, I want to be done with work by 5 o'clock, think about what matters most to you. Now, here's an example. For me, like I said, well, picking up my kids and being there for their activities is so important to me. So, if I want to make it to those activities and be able to pick them up, guess what? I need to be complete, but I need to complete my work before 5 o'clock. Otherwise, if I take too long and I get stuck at work, I just missed out. So think about what's most important to you and use that as your driving force, your motivation, and your way of being accountable to stick to those time gaps or to stick to those being productive and managing your time so that you can be there for what matters most. And then lastly, that next tip is just giving yourself that positive reinforcement. Again, that scratching off the list or that check mark of a completed task, those are positive reinforcements that you got to think of so that you can continue on and get things done. Now, let's talk about finding best practices or processes to make sure that you get tasks and manage your time and stay productive and not waste time having to figure out how am I going to do something? Because sometimes just getting stuck in our thoughts of how to complete a task, analysis paralysis, takes forever in a day. So how do we do that? Simply, we research, we network and collaborate. Ask our coworkers. I mean, that's why we're in a team together, right? So we can drive thoughts and ideas and processes, help one another out. The next one, join a training and education. That's why you're watching this video, so that you can understand what you can do, how you can do better, right? Consult expertise. Ask your boss. Or maybe you have an SME in the workplace, right? A subject matter expert that you can ask on how to do certain things. And lastly, sometimes you just got to trial and error. You got to try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try again or find another way. Now, and the last few things. What are those roadblocks that you have? Sounds so weird, right? But what are those roadblocks? I'll give you a funny one. That coworker next to you who keeps talking. Big roadblock right there, right? You want to make sure that you eliminate those roadblocks that you have, right? If you have a coworker that loves to talk to you, hey, that's a roadblock. Maybe today I'm just going to focus on my work and not get stuck in a conversation. Sometimes you got to think that. Your roadblock could be your email. So close it out for a little bit. Your roadblock could be your phone and the messages you get. Turn it off. Put it in do not disturb. And every time you feel like, oh, I don't know if I can stop this roadblock from talking to me, well, here's your motivation. Think about your why. What matters most? If you want to get home at 5 o'clock, you're never going to get done talking to that roadblock of a friend that you got, right? So use that as your motivation, your daily drive to say, hey, I really got to complete my task so that I can move on and I can get through my day. And lastly, as we recap all these pieces, I want you to remember that when you're trying to manage your time and when you're trying to be productive so that you can complete everything you have on your task list, prioritize what you have. At the start of the day, plan and organize your day already so that you're not just going left to right in all of the tasks that you have to do and in all of the jobs that you got to complete. Next, find those best practices so you don't get stuck on a task because you don't know how to do it. More than usually, someone has already done it, so they would have a better process or a better way to do it, so that it's not gonna take so long. And lastly, overcome those roadblocks. Sorry, friend, can't talk right now. I gotta complete this video. And now, if there's one thing I can leave you with, it's this one quote. There's only one thing more precious than our time, and that's who we spend it with. So I want you to think about that, because this is the reason. Use that as your drive. Use that as what matters most to you so that you can stay focused, get your tasks done, manage your time better, and be productive. My name is Barbie Jane, and I'm just so thankful and grateful that you took the time to watch this video all the way to the end. And if you want more, please send me a message, send me anything below, like and subscribe, and I hope to come to you with another video next week or 2 weeks from now. But bye. Thank you. By the way, if you need help managing your time and being productive, I have a free PDF version of the Time Management Matrix, and if you want it, just send me a DM on the bottom or send me a message, and I'll be happy to share that with you. Thank you. See you soon.